Hello there, Commonwealth Rom here, this time together with NintendoBlackCrisis, and he is here for a good reason as we're diving deep into the new gameplay of Tears of the Kingdom, looking at the combinations of combat, puzzle solving, methods of traversal, and the key to all Zelda games, exploration, or more specifically, discoveries. Though there appears to be a new element tied to the four staples of modern Zelda gameplay, crafting and vehicle building, which will be covered on NintendoBlackCrisis channel. So be sure to bring this video to 2023 likes and subscribe plus press that notification bell to both of our channels, and let's get into what is new in the gameplay above, in, and below Hyrule.
The time reversal rune or symbol, along with the other found in the collector's edition of the new spiritual hand, will help in a lot of combat-specific situations. Though, as was the case with the runes of the Sheikah Slate, they are likely to have a cooldown timer where we'll be vulnerable to a horde of new types of enemies. Luckily, the arsenal of weapons has also been expanded and upgraded, both when it comes to the ones that are ready to use and those that are likely to be crafted. Either way, we will need them to take down the Gleeoks, boss bokoblins, Redeads, Kogoroks, Moldworms, and probably many other newcomers, on top of the combined Talos and Bokoblin camps we've seen in the past, and the new forms and locations of the regular returning enemies from Breath of the Wild. No doubt we have a new category for enemies and overworld bosses on the surface, namely malice-infused enemies and camps. But more importantly, parts from all of these are likely to serve for weapons that will not be ready to use. All tied to the Blood Moon, which is back and ready to secure us the same combat challenges, and in some cases, obstacles. So pick your fights wisely, as unfortunately it appears that weapons once again have a durability system. It still remains to see how vulnerable weapons, bows, and shields will be when we get our hands on them. Nevertheless, with damaged weapons visible in the second trailer, we can assume that they can and will break. Though with the theme of fusion and combinations, it wouldn't surprise us if damaged weapons can be repaired.
After all, that is the aim for the Master Sword, as detailed in the 2022 delay announcement and title/logo reveal. There's a theme of combinations, but also restoring what is broken in the story and gameplay of the 20th Zelda. And by being able to repair weapons, we might be able to hold some of our favorite weapons for longer, as this game appears to offer even more freedom in its combat than Breath of the Wild did. Also that we don't have to constantly avoid fights to preserve our weapons. This goes in particular with at least one brand new weapon class, the likely replacement of the ancient Sheikah weaponry. The spiritual Zonai tech with primitive cannons and flamethrowers based on the origin of these from our own world, a fact Zelda lore also pointed out in his amazing analysis. So far, the only attacks Link has performed in any of the trailers has been with this type of weaponry, or with Link's new likely Zonai hand and his homing key arrow scene. But apart from these, in all other scenes we either avoid the monsters or simply don't see Link on the offensive. Either dodging attacks like seen here in the sky, or simply targeting but not attacking enemies like in the scene right here. The Zelda team is clearly holding back even when we're so close to the release, since Link has in all trailers been wearing one of two armor sets, the combined multi-layered champion/Hylian set and the Sky Zonai set, which also has only been limited so far to the sky.
But why don't we mention the two Sky automatons we have seen yet? For one, since they are key to the next category we will soon enter, and two, we have to first go over the underground with its threats and already confirmed malice-infused enemies, and potentially spirits or even pose based on the ghost flames. And three, the possibility of Princess Zelda being playable down here using her new Nintendo Switch Lens of Truth-shaped Sheikah Slate, an item that all of Nintendo's Twitter channels and even the official Japanese The Legend of Zelda page have highlighted in their tweets. Zelda has a role to play in this game. We only still need to find out what it is. Kicking ass underground, being captured on the surface, or perhaps serving as a guide in the sky. There is, naturally, far more detail in the combat section, including bosses, as this Malice explosion might have teased to, but since we barely have any footage of this one, then we have to conclude that the above-mentioned combat gameplay appear to be the most key that we have seen so far, as we are still waiting to see skydiving turned into sky combat, which has been patented for this game. Perhaps one of the reasons might be tied to the true role of many, if not all, of the Sky Islands, which does bring us over to our second category, puzzle solving. Another staple of the Zelda franchise which was tied both to the surface of Hyrule and underground ancient Sheikah shrines in Breath of the Wild. The former are still there, as the surface Sheikah Shrine quests have been replaced with likely Zonai surface quests, and the numerous new patterns carved and illuminated across the existing map are definitely key to this section of the game. The question is if they will be mandatory to face Ganondorf and beat the game. After all, in Breath of the Wild, we could head straight for Calamity Ganon after visiting 4 of the 120 underground shrines, and didn't need to reconquer any of the 4 divine beasts. So what about Tears of the Kingdom?
Sadly, even so close prior to release, we still don't know if we have a Divine Beast replacement, or return to the dungeons that were so key to Zelda's past. This in particular, along with a few other gripes that we will touch upon before the end of this video, are matters that have still not been confirmed or denied by Nintendo. Hence, when it comes to puzzle solving, we're still in the unknown, apart from the now multiple teasers underground, on the surface with the many new patterns depicting creatures and figures, which are likely to serve the new shrine and side quests. But where would the reward of further challenges for solving these be located? Naturally, in the sky. We've already seen a hint of this with the time reversal of fallen sky rocks from the surface back up to the sky, but the February trailer gave us even more hints that indeed, the sky might be more of a puzzle layer than a place of discovery and exploration. One of the reasons to believe so is that along with bringing these fallen sky rocks back from where they fell off, we will also be raising the 3 Lome labyrinths. Well, that, or bringing them down again, since who knows, perhaps these are the dungeons of Tears of the Kingdom. It would be an intriguing way of teasing it, but before we get too excited, we should also keep in mind that the labyrinths might once again just serve a similar role to the shrine quests they were in Breath of the Wild. With this possibility, we have to also be prepared for the inconvenient scenario of a lot of these floating islands only serving as open-air puzzle and combat trials, just like the underground Sheikah Shrine underground puzzle boxes that we entered from the surface.
Only this time, instead of going from the surface down to enclosed underground ancient tech cubes, we are going from the surface to one or multiple floating islands in the sky, where we will either have to use the powers of the hand to solve puzzles or fight giant automatons that will test our combat abilities. Just like the 2 types of shrines, that was not just a blessing offered in Breath of the Wild, test of combat strength, and brain power puzzles. So far, many hints to this exact formula are present in Tears of the Kingdom, as there are points of entry on the surface and arrival in the sky. The automatons, and in particular this Minecraft cube golem right here being the new test of strength, and the spherical gyro puzzles being the new brain power challenge. Hopefully any new gameplay prior to release can answer the key puzzle gameplay questions. 1. Is there dungeons, and what are the replacements this time? 2nd, will we just deal with another 100 plus Sky Island shrine replacements? Or is there far more to this when it comes to meeting this female figure, which might be Spirit Zelda, and upgrading the Master Sword? So much left to be answered here. Instead, we got the answer of how we can move between the layers. Modes of traversal. Since apart from walking and running, we know that horse riding is back, and this time likely with Epona without the use of any amiibo, instead these can now be used to customize the pattern and design of our paraglider, which does feel like a downgrade from the many themed weapons, armor sets, and tools they dropped in Breath of the Wild, unless they do both. Well, that covers that. It is likely that seal surfing is also back, and more importantly for us, shield surfing has been evolved to not only work like a snowboard, but rather like a skateboard where we can shred rails, including the ones of minecarts.
A brand new gameplay feature not present in Breath of the Wild, and which will definitely add to the fun factor of this game. The same would be the case with underwater swimming, but this barrier still remains to be broken, or at the very least confirmed to be a part of the gameplay in official trailers or showcases as of the moment of this collaboration. At the same time, it is clear that the Zelda team, despite working with a franchise that for almost 25 years was set in a low-tech setting, loves to play around with electricity and technology. Skyward Sword was the tease, but Breath of the Wild was the breakthrough, where this fort wasn't limited to one province, but the entire map, and the Master Cycle Zero in the final DLC was clearly a test of how we will move around in this sequel. Mechanically, by recreating a number of vehicles that we got from our own industrial revolution. Manned hot air balloons, 4-wheel machine-powered vehicles, and eventually propelled aircraft. It is clear that this game is far more mechanical in its traversal gameplay than Breath of the Wild ever was, as all traversal until the Master Cycle Zero or experiments with Sheikah runes were organic. Tears of the Kingdom seems to be more mechanical, and though this might not be what everyone likes, this is the direction the franchise is heading towards. which begs the question, what other vehicles are possible? Could we see motorboats like skippers in Skyward Sword, hovering crafts across Gerudo Desert easier, and perhaps even sports and off-road cars along with smaller helicopters and perhaps even airplanes? No matter what, with the introduction of technology and vehicles in the main $69 game, we're about to experience a true industrial revolution in the Zelda series. Then again, it feels like everything has been building up to this moment for a long time now. There's a lot to discover, both on the horizon and in the tiny details. Speaking of, let's end with
new discoveries, or why we explore games in the first place, though in Tears of the Kingdom it might be a little different. The sky is naturally a brand new setting. Yes, one of the islands might be Skylot from Skyward Sword, but other than these callbacks to 2011, the Lome Labyrinths and potentially the Great Deku Tree with Korok Forest are likely to have a fresh vertical experience of discoveries, based on our aerial exploration, including far more interactions with dragons. New dragons, as this one here doesn't appear to be Farosh. The same goes for the underground sections of the game, as we have never been to these caves and massive, as we know, underground locations before. This is where we'll get our fresh, uncharted crave covered in Tears of the Kingdom, but it will be supplied by something we only got a slight taste of in Breath of the Wild's Champion's Ballad. An altered surface is also a fact, parts due to a time skip of at least 1 to 2 years between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. On the other hand, Ganondorf's return has also changed a lot. Since then are both pleasant and horrifying changes to important locations. For instance, parts of the Great Plateau appear to have been renovated, while other new building projects have been set up next to Hateno Village.
And those, along with the new wooden, potentially modern Sheikah Towers, are only the tip of the iceberg. Since Ganondorf's return, Blood Moon, enemies, malice spikes all over the map, environmental hazards along with the fallen rocks and objects from the sky, and brand new carved, shaped and illuminated art of potential Zonai origin have brought so many changes to the world that there are so many reasons now to rediscover the 72 square kilometers many of us know by heart at this point. Hopefully with petable doggos, even more wildlife to ride and hunt, and lots of new food and recipes to cook. For most of us, this will be a brand new surface. Yes, it is the same land with the same boundaries and landscapes, but what is found within it will be so different with so many new opportunities and activities that were simply not there in the $60 title in 2017. And one of the most crucial changes might be the return and expansion of one of Skyward Sword's most beloved features. Crafting beyond just armor upgrades by using the parts, remains and materials we collect during our discoveries. But that is a subject matter that we cover extensively in Nintendo Black Crisis as part of this collaboration, so be sure to head over to it in the end card. All that I want to hear are your thoughts about the gameplay confirmed to be present so far in the game and which we still wish for, all in the comments, and if you haven't already, be sure to press that like, subscribe and notification bell buttons to both of our channels. You all rock, and please enjoy NBC's part of this 2-part collaboration.